Chase Leaki with the blue futon, and this is not a premiere. Oh, look at that cowlick. This is a second viewing movie. Emergency. Is this an emergency to see this movie right now? Let's find out. So Emergency, what's it about? Well, first let's talk about this real quick. The IMDb synopsis is incorrect. It says on their 3 Latino friends getting in trouble. It's actually 2 black friends and then a Latino friend. So first off, IMDb, that's wrong. But anyway, they want to go to a party. There's a huge pub crawl, if you want to put it that way, of going to 7 different fraternities or sororities. And then they'll be the first black students to ever do it at this university. The problem is they get home and there's a white girl just passed out in the living room. Not dead, but you could totally tell something's completely wrong with her. Now they got to figure out what to do. Call the cops, go to the hospital, and now who is after them in this whole journey. So, did I like this movie? Yes, I did. The good thing about this movie, yes, there's an agenda to it for sure, but it completely attacks both sides of the issue at hand, which is Black lives. The reason I say that, the biggest, to me, the funniest joke in this movie is about, you could call it double standards or just perception. Because now everyone in their bios have like BLM. Why all of a sudden are you putting it in there? It's almost like virtue signaling. And there's one big scene where they're in the street and this white, couple comes out saying, I know what you're doing, you're drug dealing. And once they walk to their house, there's a sign that literally says Black Lives Matter. So it's more of a thing of, are you just putting that sign out there to virtue signal? There's that issue in this as well. But the acting, the story is well made in this movie. The biggest issue with this movie is the third wheel, which is Carlos. Sometimes his jokes and his deliveries do not land at all, and sometimes it's almost forceful. The banter between the 2 main characters, the banter is absolutely believable. From the very first classroom scene that has something to do with the N-word to everything else in between, where each dialogue aspect is completely both-sided of. There's this, there's this, there's this, there's this. For example, the N-word one was about, one guy's like, it's completely disrespectful at all. And then one guy's like, well, what if a guy is just literally in the forest and he's like, I want to say it like this. And there's different banters like that. The only banter there really isn't is the very end that has to do with cops and getting this one girl to a location. And that's another fault. I feel like whoever wrote this, which who wrote it, there's no talking to cops. There are cops of all races. Asians, whites, blacks, Hispanics, Latinos. Every race is a cop. So this whole movies like this always have white cops. And I think they need to show that, it's everyone and it happens to everyone. Yes, I know they're trying to do an agenda at that point, but I just wish some of these filmmakers would actually go talk to cops and be like, okay, what's your day-to-day basis thing? What is your training regimen, etc., etc.? Because each different police department around the United States and probably around the world does policing completely different. So this blanket statement, and I know this movie's about blanket statements, is a little bit of a fault to me. And I just wish the end and everything like that, I understand what they're going for. Not like the end, which the end is perfect, where someone's trying to apologize with a note. And I understand why. To me, you slam the door because it wasn't sincere. It's more of like, I had to think about this before apologizing. It should be more sincere if something that happens. As well as the very end, where police sirens come in and you're just like, really? You had to put that in there as like, what? I understand the message as a whole, where you had to get this guy's naivety. Like, okay, it might happen to anyone. But then adding that at the very end just felt like almost like a cheap shot of like, why do you have to add it in there? We kind of understand the message in the story already. I mean, now you're kind of pandering. Now you're kind of like beating the dead horse at that point. Oh, and also, I noticed something in the scene where it was like total propaganda. Kind of, I was like, what the fuck is that in there? In the science lab scene, Dr. Fauci had a picture on the wall. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, why is he in a college lab for science when he fucked up like the AIDS thing in the 80s? Now he's fucking up COVID with the gains of funds and research and, funneling money and probably making like the highest paid government employee of all time. So it's like, what the fuck? Like, why is he in there? That shouldn't be in there. It felt like almost a propaganda thing. And yeah, I don't know why they decided to put Dr. Fauci's picture in there. It just felt gross. It felt a little gross, and I was like, But overall, the movie as a whole works as a message. It is funny. Some of the humor I think is a little bit too forced, but then some of it works. Like I said, the two main characters, I'm gonna have to remember his name, guys. R.J. Cyler. First movie I saw of him was Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, which that movie is completely underrated. That's the first time I saw him. He's a great actor. Everyone in this movie, like I said, is doing good. It's a well-shot movie. It has some great comedic moments. It's a good bromance film. And I have to say, it literally has the conversation for both sides. And the director didn't have to do this, but when they put a plaque on the wall, there is one thing that on the wall that says, like, first Black conservative. So they, like I said, there's different things in this story where you have to applaud, and some stuff where you're just like, I don't see it that way. But anyway, let's give you the review. Emergency will receive a 3.5 out of 5 Futons. It goes at 70%. So see the critics' news scores give this one. We have critics a 97% with 30 of them, and of course the audience score is going to be 0. So we have a 97% and a 70%. Some of these, I'm just looking at some of the quick reviews, 3.5 out of 4, B pluses. Any other freshes we get out? Come on, guys, let's go faster, phone. 5G, apparently they're bringing down the planes. But we have 3.5 out of 5, a 3.5 out of 5, a 3 out of 5, a 7.5 out of 5. So even a 3 out of 5, 8 out of 10. So even though it's at 97%, they're more technically at that mid-range where I'm at. But hey, I'm okay with it. It's not preachy. Not really, except like I said, the last like 15 minutes, it felt like they didn't know when to stop. It's like, stop at that moment, and you'd have been A-okay. But anyway, 97 or 70. Chase Lucky with the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about Booftonian-topia. You Booftonians. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. And yeah, like I said, overall, this whole festival's been pretty good. I'm almost halfway there. I thought I was only going to do 12 films, but I think I'm like going to do like 17. Yeah, expensive time, but completely worth it. And like I said in a Facebook post, these Q&A sessions really do make a maximum difference of like, I didn't like that scene in the movie, but then the director or the actors talk about it and you're like, oh,